I think I'm going to call this the pray first message. I've already preached to myself for about 10 minutes, but I think we would save ourselves a lot of issues if we would just pray first. There's so many things that when I look back, the mistakes that I've made, it was because I did not pray first. I did not pray first. And this is all about the relationship. And yeah, I'm Jonah Stout. Who am I? I am Jonah Stout, AKA the Queen of Queens. What do? I help seasoned professional kingdom women manage their lives. And when it comes to relationships and finances, we choose to do things the kingdom way. And so what this is about is relationships, all relationships. And we wonder why some relationships end the way they do. And the first thing I said, God, said, pray first. We don't pray first. That should be the first step. And I want to start with something. God took me to something. I said, God, I messed up. And here's the thing. In January of 2019, I received a warning. And it said this, it said, someone is about to come back into your life. Caution. I've already showed you who they were. And in that moment, I couldn't even, no name rose up, nothing. And in a season when that person showed up, I was like Jesus on the 41st day after his 40-day fast. Weak, vulnerable, but unlike Jesus, it is written, did not come out of my mouth. And I'm bringing that up because God was ministering to me about praying first and having kingdom boundaries. And when you have those kingdom boundaries, nothing can penetrate that no matter what state you're in. The enemy will always show up when you're vulnerable and when you're weak and you don't really know, you know what the right answer should be, but you're not spiritually strong enough to speak out the answer. Why is that? Because you don't know your assignment. If you were so grounded in your assignment, number one, you would expect the enemy to show up. Number two, in those weak moments when God has called you to consecrate and fast, just like Jesus did. When the enemy showed up on that day, it said he was weak, but he wasn't surprised. It didn't throw him off guard. He was like, it is written, and he had a word for him. He had a word for him. And so this whole message for me is about evaluating, starting with yourself, because it always starts with you. And what it's about is relationships and reciprocity, and us getting in relationships, whether it's business relationships, situationships, friendships, girl, boy, it doesn't matter. But if that person walks away from you, leaving you feeling some kind of way, subtracted from, and not added to or multiplied, that's a problem. That's a problem. And it's really bad when God gives you a warning. And I want to say this to my ladies, because that's who I'm called to my beautiful queens, professional kingdom women of God. Just because he's kingdom does not make him real. You say, ooh, John, what that mean? It doesn't. There are kingdom counterfeits and kingdom real. And anytime I speak, I talk about that because God so profoundly taught me about that. He said, the difference is, and there's always, you already know there's wolves in sheep's clothing, but here's the thing. The difference is the real will always lead you to God and his word. Always. No question. He don't even have to ask you. He will always lead you to God and his word. It really doesn't even matter what shape you're in, if he's real. Kingdom counterfeit gonna lead you to sin. You know? So it's really easy to define. Where you in this relationship? In this relationship, where is it leading you to? Where is it leading you to? And all I'm saying is, in your relationships, evaluate them. Because the moment that person, you are no, the moment you have become no more of value to that person, whether it's friend, business, etc., whatever you need. And I had some words a few minutes ago. I said, it could be anything. It could be anything. You name it in a relationship, it could be anything. If that person in their life and where they are needs something and you have the potential to give it or to produce it or to do it, oh yeah, you are of value to them in that moment. But the moment that itch is scratched, the moment that assignment is completed, and you are no longer of any value to them, ghost, communication change, so forth and so on, and things just look crazy. But here's what I learned. The signs were there before. First comes the warning. God will always, he sends us a comforter, a helper, and a teacher. We always get the before. We just ignore it. We always get the before. Always. And we ignore it. And we justify it. And then we get in it and we, God this and God that and God that. And God said, but if you had prayed first, and here's what will happen, and I'm done. You finally get a hold of yourself, and you find out who you are, and you start saying some things, start speaking up. And because that person sees that, and here's the thing, it's not even them, it's a spirit. And that's what God told me. He said, why are you entertaining a spirit? Cut it off. Why are you even playing with that? Cut it off. Detach yourself from it. I don't care what it looks like. And I had a friend of mine who was kind of somewhat in a similar situation. It was a business situation, but the person that they were attached to was in all kinds of witchcraft and all kinds of craziness, spiritually speaking. And the Holy Spirit told her, denounce it, detach. And then here's what I heard in that moment. And she said this too. She said, God told me that he was raising up a new breed. And I said, yeah, and what I just heard was he was raising up a righteous breed. He was detaching from the unrighteous and attaching to the righteous. Because he's about to make a move. And I don't know if I finished my thought on this, but it just came back, so I'm going to repeat it. Women of God. And the reason why I went into that whole kingdom real versus kingdom counterfeit, I don't care what he looks like on paper. It's not important. It's not important. Don't let that cloud your judgment when God has already told you what is written. Okay? So I think that's really all I had to say. I talked about, and really for me, it's all about reciprocity. One of the measurements when you start evaluating your different relationships, women of God, so many of you are ready for marriage and you're like, where are the men? And here's the thing, don't ask that question because they're out there. Righteous kingdom men of God. But I'm going to tell you what's happening. You're not attracting them. You're attracting other things. And that's because there's something in you that needs to be corrected. And I guarantee you, the moment you start tapping into purpose and you start making that correction, all of a sudden they show up. Alpha kingdom men, real men. They handle you different. They communicate to you different. They look after you different. So what happens in that? A lot of us as professional kingdom women, we've had to operate way too much in our masculine because of who we've been in the presence of. Not that you want it to be, but because of who you've been connected to, it's almost like their energy and the lack thereof, what they should be bringing, is causing you to go into masculine. And I always say this, a lot of times we need it in corporate, we need it in work, because we got that whole power thing. I said, but most women don't want to operate in that 24/7. I know I don't, or didn't. But because you were always in that position of feeling like you got to defend yourself, because the other person always putting you on a defense, because it's always a challenger. You know, why you think that way? What do you talk? What? But then you come over here and all of a sudden you've done some work on yourself and say, you know, I don't care what they look like. That's not what I want. That's not good for my mental health. And God is telling me that's a spirit. And I want you to do this, and so I'm working on myself, and things are changing, my energy, and people, oh, you glowing, and da-da-da-da-da. Why? Because the people that started coming into my life after I got whole was totally different. Totally different. And so I would say certain things that were, when I was in this circle, it was challenged. And when I got over here, it was like, I love it when you talk to me like that. I love the way you speak to me. You speak life to me. You speak life to my soul. And you know what? If you're not careful, it'll confuse you, because you'll be like, well, when I was over here, the response I got over here, you think you know everything. Or why do you care about what other people think? That wasn't the point. That's what you grabbed. Over here, he saw the intellectual part of what I was saying. And it was like, I love it. I love the way you talk to me. I love the way you communicate with me. It's like you speaking, to one point where it was emotional. It's like you speak life to my soul. And ladies, I'm gonna tell you something. I don't care what anybody say. The biggest thing you can do for a man is to change the way he feels about himself. That's it. All this money and all that stuff, all that, nah, that's not it. It's not it. Man can give you sex, time, and money. Doesn't mean he cares for you. It may mean he needs something from you, whether it's sex, time, or money. Doesn't mean he cares for you. Because the moment he gets out of you what it is that he needs of you, he's moving on to the next thing until he needs something else again. And next thing you know, he got another target. And sometimes that target looks a little bit similar. Funny how that is. But then what I want you to pay attention to is when you do that work, and man, you start becoming so confident in who you are and all of that, and all of a sudden now you're attracting different friends, different business partners, a different love. And it's fluid. It's easy. And I think that's all I want to say on this. But I was having a conversation, and we were talking about God is in the process of, he's raising up a new. God told me this in 2019, but it's coming back up again. But I am surrounded by, and that is my niche market, I know, of seasoned professional kingdom women who are either have done the work, are in the process of doing the work, and they cannot find a partner just yet. And then some of them are attracting a partner, and because they've never had a man of that caliber, they don't really know how to handle him. They don't know how to be the woman that alpha man needs. So that's another part of the journey. But it's easy to see, like, okay, there's a different woman here. She doesn't need that man for his money. That's not really what she wants. The purpose partnership. She wants to be able to bring whatever it is that he needs to be successful. You know, most professional kingdom, when you have this conversation with them, you put them with a man that may not necessarily be a millionaire already, it won't be long when he will be with her. And them working together, especially he can be open and receive, and she knows how to nurture what it is that he's doing. Oh, it's on and popping. Personal side and professional side. You know, so I wanted to get this out. I don't know, I apologize. I don't know, put this on Zoom with a flyer or something and upload it to the Queen Network, because I think this needs to get out. You know, I have a lot of these conversations one-on-one with women when I'm talking to them about certain situations. And ladies, I want to say this. It just came up, so I'm going to say it. Some of you have a picture in mind or a definition in mind of the man that you want or desire. And I'm not going to really say that that's wrong, because I believe in the law of attraction. But I believe you really do have to be careful of that, because he could be standing in front of you, treating you like the queen that you are, but because he doesn't fit a certain mold, you totally ignore the fact that he could be. And I'm talking about all over, from being younger to being of a different nationality, culture, industry. Is he the one that God created for you to do purpose with? Everything else aside. And then you bring all of these things to God and you let him walk y'all through it. But when you start seeing his purpose and your purpose just crossing and complementing each other, and he's bringing what you're missing and vice versa, and like, wow, is this really happening? But oh, wait a minute, God, he's not. And he's, and oh, and yeah, that part. So be careful of that. I'm going to go back to how I started this. Pray first. Pray first. That could have saved me a whole lot of issues. And what should have been a blessing turned into a lesson. It's going to be either one or the other. So I think I'm done, because I feel it lifting. I think I'm done. But ladies, reciprocity. Don't be the only one giving in a relationship. And when you challenge that other person on it, they make you feel some kind of way because they lack reciprocity in the relationship. They don't want to really see what's really happening. And if you know what, at the end of the day, it really doesn't matter whether they see it or not. How do they make you feel? How do they make you feel? Okay? So I am going to stop this about 20 minutes. And I guess I'll put it on Zoom and load it up. But I hope you guys hear my heart, because there are a lot of you are marriage ready. I hear some of you, oh, maybe I'm not. Yeah, no. No. And y'all know I shoot straight from the hip. Some of y'all want sex. So if you want sex and you want to be all of that in a bag of chips, you need to be married. You don't have to agree with me. That's me. Because remember, I am the founder of the Queen Network. Some of them call me the Queen of Queens. And who are we and what do? I help seasoned professional kingdom women manage their lives in the area of finances and relationships. And we choose to do things the kingdom way. So you can't be out here in these streets like that. You already know that. So stop trying to justify because you can't find the right person. You're not supposed to be married. No, become who you need to be to the man that you desire. End of story. God bless.